Alrighty. This is the next episode of the Talented 10th podcast with Brenden and Rakeem. Want to start out reminding the format we're going to go over my latest episode of my vlog on understanding. Going to jump into quick questions about kind of the upcoming football season as well as NBA playoffs. And then want to talk about the importance of voting and then like what happens if former President Trump is convicted. But before we jump into the understanding portion, looks like you brought something today.
I did. Some bourbon. We got Jefferson's Ocean Aged at Sea Cash Strength Single Barrel. The theory behind it is they put it in a barrel, throw it in the ocean, send it around the world.
Like circumnavigate? Like
Pretty much hit the navigator. So,
okay.
which they showed back here, I guess, the pretty main parts that go around or whatever, but that's the theory behind it, and it gets the true moving of the ocean and it's not diluted apparently since it's cash strength, so it's
Got it.
boom. So this is shown to be 116 proof.
Have you had? Looks like it's open.
I had a sip of it. That's why I wanted to try
Sip,
before I
huh?
bring it to you. Yeah, a little sip. So
Okay.
it's really good, and for it to be the 116 proof, it's actually not as like hitting on the tongue as you would think it would.
Okay.
So I mean, I think you'll like it a lot.
All right. Let's start it off.
Yeah. Get it rolling. Get it rolling.
Yeah, not too much there. Hot
Nah.
shot.
Not too much. Smells good though.
Good smell.
On my bourbon journey, yes, I'm continuing to learn about it and understand it more. Kind of like coffee. That's gonna be my next thing too.
Your next thing? You've been on coffee for a while.
Well, yeah, but the original of, making it with the grinder and espresso, the beans,
Sorry.
that stuff.
Oh yeah. All right. I know you just got to listen to the chapter on understanding. What's your fast reaction?
Fast reaction. Some people understand sincerely, as you said, but you started out with your understanding out of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
But some people still say they understand it, but really just want to be nosy to keep up. What you doing over there? How you doing compared to how I'm doing?
Right.
Trying to keep up with the Joneses is what they'll call it.
Yeah.
So that's fast reaction. Along with one thing you said too, seeing your mom do the things she did for those friends of yours, how she loved them and was patient and kind and understanding and teaching you that, I would say that's where you originally probably first got your first grab of.
Yeah, and they were two friends that she kept who both had disabilities of varying degrees, I would say. Ryan being completely immobile and in need of a feeding tube his entire life. And then JJ, who had some muscular issues with his legs and some speech issues, but largely we communicated fine. But yeah, he was effectively on his knees for his entire life.
And so, just seeing that and you seen it, I think it took you from curiosity to actually understanding people. And that some people just want to be, loved or treated or talked to as normal and don't need all the extras that we tend to think that we need or something. And
Yeah.
sometimes with understanding, you said, it's just the small things of what you got instead of looking at what I don't have.
Right.
So that's the fast reaction. that I like.
Yeah, it was, like I said, I think it's the foundational, it's the entry point to access to me and to what I kind of look at first in new people is like, how conclusory are you? How much do you believe what you know initially about, or what you think instinctually about someone initially, or how wedded are you to this? The first impression is kind of the only impression, and how much do you go into things with an open mind? Because it's hard to be understanding if you've already made your judgment.
Correct.
It's very hard for humans to unlearn and unwind their initial belief system. And so, I don't know, I didn't get to this in the episode, but understanding is also about how open do you enter something
Yes.
with, as much as it is what you understood after you've kind of went on that journey. And I think that's it's similar in like professional life as well. Is like how much is about you and how much is really about the values that you, your company, or whatever espouse. And so, very similar to problems, whether it be for customers or whether it be for associates or employees or whatever, is if you're trying to understand them, how open are you initially before you make judgments?
Right.
Is a
And that's the
hard.
hardest part, because
we naturally as humans
Right.
make judgments because we don't have enough time to get to understand everybody.
correct. So if I come to you with a story and I tell you my side, but it's two sides to it, and somebody else come, or you go to that person after I came to you with a story, I got to you first.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so your mind may already be somewhat formed, but you still will go talk to that person. You're like, nah, I kind of heard it this way, and I think you kind of over exaggerate trying to tell that other person when the other person's story really could be the more accurate one. But I came to you with my story first, and you went in there and accepted it openly, and then this other person's now trying to come with you, and you're like, hold up a second, like. And so I do think that's probably one of the harder parts of understanding this. Going in and openly, especially if there's like a two-sided story or something, or just even general understanding anybody from childhood going up is generally open, first off whatever you might have done as a kid or been through or going through versus what somebody's trying to actually tell you to understand.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Oftentimes when we talk about understanding, one thing when I started to do these things, I realized a lot of people didn't understand about what I was saying is these things apply to people, they apply to a profession, but more than anything, they apply to the type of mindset and thinking as it is, more than it is about what I declare someone to be. Like, you're an understanding person, okay, but does that mean you are understanding equally about everything? Absolutely not. And so I try to get to know how people think before I try to determine who someone is.
Mm-hmm.
And that, what do you think about that part of understanding? Because a lot of people go about it on the person perspective, and I know with you and I don't even know if this was intentional, but it's true, is I just want to know your background. Why are you bold like this? Or why are you quickly agitated on certain things, but super patient on this? What's the difference in these things? Why? Let me try to understand why this triggers you here, but this is something you'll work with and be patient about here. Like when I was getting to know you, it was more about understanding how you think, more than it was to determine who you were.
Yep, and that's a big part. I think it's just I agree. Understanding how somebody think the way they move. Because, I mean, I had this discussion a lot. Chelsea is just like, you can understand me, not gonna understand her, but then, all right, now I need to understand probably your mom or somebody, how they think, how they move, who they are, what they show. Because the thing is like, yeah, I can understand what they be telling me, no problem, but I need to understand, like, you telling me this or you doing this, I need to understand what made you want to do that. What, like
keep pulling the thread.
Yeah, like, what triggers you to do that? Or what triggers you to be chill, you know? Or what background that you might have came from that you may know or have that say, I do this way because I was raised this way. Or I was raised this way and I don't want to be this way, so I go this way. And so those layers is deeper, and it's like, okay, how are you thinking? Or what decides how you moving, like your ways. And also, a lot of people understand, I think, is kind of can overlook is like, I can understand you what you tell me, but I kind of can understand your pattern more if it's what you keep showing me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, you can tell me butterflies all day, but your pattern is showing me something totally different. So I'm understanding what you're doing or what you do.
Well, and that's the thing, like, and you know the order that I have these things. That's why trust is so far down the line.
Down the line, right.
Because, okay, if I trust you, then what you say has more of a determining factor on what I think about whatever you're presenting me with. But until we're there, I got to read between the lines too.
Yeah.
You know, no one begin, I don't want to say no one, but very few people begin bearing their soul. And so understanding where you are with someone will also help you understand what they may be leaving out.
Right.
And it doesn't mean they're leaving it out to deceive or anything like that. It's just a process. And it's why appreciation is next. Because you can't, in this framework that I have, you got to understand sincerely before you can appreciate.
And I think for me,
because what are you appreciating if you don't understand it?
Right. And I think for me, with you, and even when you was talking about it earlier, to sit down with your dad was a big, probably understand for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
But for me, and we came from two different kind of backgrounds in a way, but like for the most part, like sister, mama, for me, brother, dad for you. So I had to understand that for you, as in the background, the relationship, because I didn't have it then, you know what I'm saying? But the more I started understanding that, the more I understood you and the things you do, or the things you like to do, or the bond and the connection and the sincerity that you have for your friends and loved ones and stuff like that.
Yep.
As in me, like, I'm from the surface that I'm like, like, I don't get it, but as I peel the layers back, like, okay.
Yeah.
I understand your dad and how he did things. I understand your brother and the connection and stuff, and the point it got to where, like, okay, I know you and understand you, but by seeing that,
yeah, it worked in the other direction as well. Like I was after the 8, I wasn't around many women. Period. I worked for women or were taught by women.
right?
But there was only men in the house, or a man and 2 young men. And then, I was in a locker room.
Right.
And so, there was just a lot of the idiosyncrasies, the instinct, as someone who relies on instincts a lot, I wasn't able to develop certain instincts relating to women. And I'm not talking about even in the romantic dating sense. I just mean it in just communication style, and how this delivery needs to be softer, and it's not an indictment on like what women can handle. It's more about like having some finesse about you.
Yep.
For me as a man, more than it is about what I'm asking anyone else to do. We've joked about it before, just things like cleanliness and being orderly about things, and but also just how to date, how to do all these different things and develop relationships over time. Like, we taught each other a lot of things. We taught each other
backgrounds of each other.
Yeah, by being willing to understand the other, we basically could live and be open and sincere. We were able to live, I won't say live, but learn about two lives.
Mm-hmm.
Live one, learn about the other one deeply, so that you're offsetting your deficiencies that you grew up with over time.
As we got older.
And then now we're in our 30s and as close as ever and still on different paths, but basically feel like we're in a constant state of understanding at all times. But that took years.
Yes.
And an investment and uncomfortability.
Yes.
And exposing yourself a little bit over time, but it began with understanding, and it graduated along these various things that I'll go over in the future. So, you got any final words on?
No, just this. If you go back and look 10 years where we just started, 10 years plus, with the understanding to now, and how two very different people of different worlds kind of now understood and meshed their world. Now, still live in two different kind of worlds, but like meshed it to understand and help the world that we are living by understanding the other person's world. It's so funny, but like, I guess it's the beauty of growth and understanding. So, I mean,
well, and continue to grow with people and not writing folks off.
Yeah.
Like, we laugh about all the time the amount of people that write someone off after one or two things, and it's like,
no. I think we treated it like a brother, like a brother raised in the same house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure you and your brother got into it multiple times. But you ain't getting rid of them.
No.
But some people who don't see it like that will get rid of some.
Yeah. No, you got me. I'm here. There's nothing you can do about it.
Well, I've been saying that for years, so I was like, man, you the brother I never had, because I didn't have none growing up in the house.
Yep.
And so that was my saying, like, so that's the beauty of it. Mm-hmm. That's funny.
Absolutely. So hopefully y'all check that out and kind of move along with me in the journey. It's only like a 20-minute
short chapter, nice.
And keep it short and sweet, and hopefully just something you can listen to on the ride to work or something like that. But make sure y'all subscribe and follow what we're doing on this podcast, but also what's being supplemented with the book as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, you want to get into Bobby?
Let's get
real
into
quickly,
Bobby.
And then also NBA playoffs. But
of course,
yeah,
which that's gonna be probably more your level. But with Bobby, I was watching something and an ad came up.
Mm-hmm.
Razorback showing all the highlights or whatever, and at the end it said, "Get your season tickets now at yada 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 whatever." And I'm saying,
this is good.
Tough.
Yeah. I don't know if I have my Jefferson.
You got the Jefferson Reserve up there.
It's hanging on for dear life.
Yeah. Tough.
Cabernet Cash.
You caught me by surprise. I was like, all right, I gotta bring. I was gonna bring an unopened one, but
sure you were.
I was debating. I promise. Next one coming is unopened for sure. But
back to Bobby, not the line.
So, and I was curious. I was like, get your season tickets, and I'm like, and this might have been just me first time, which I got Hulu Live, so
yeah.
I think I might go watch some live basketball game or something. But I was like, and maybe because I didn't really watch cable TV or nothing, but I was like, since when we start, doing a commercial to get season tickets?
Yeah.
And so I was like, are we struggling to sell tickets? And then, so that's first thing is, are we struggling to sell tickets or whatever? And then also it's like, okay, what are we expecting out of this Bobby's second run? And is there more people than we think probably not happy with the hire? Now, we came up under the Bobby, so we rolling with it because that was our glory days in school.
Mm-hmm.
But ones who was after, or ones that was before, or the ones that's being graduated from the school might not be too thrilled about it. Maybe, I don't know, but I was just curious on that part.
I mean, until you had brought it up, I hadn't really thought about it. I think the first question before we get into Bobby specifically is, I don't think we were selling out season tickets before you got here.
Before, okay.
So I don't think, I mean, I know we weren't. And definitely aren't in a situation like baseball and basketball where every season ticket available is bought.
Right.
So that's number one. I wouldn't look at it as a Bobby thing. I look at it as a
previous.
I need you to have some success. Yeah. You know what I mean, right? Because football season tickets are more than double basketball season tickets, and probably
really
3 or 4 times that of baseball, right? And so if I can spend the same amount of money on baseball season tickets and basketball season tickets
I'm gonna go that route.
as I'm going to spend on football, then why would I not go with the top 15 programs?
Yes, I'm going to go that route.
So that's first thing first. With Bobby, man, I don't know, man. I'm excited because it's a pro style offense. I think we got a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, he looked decent and transferred with Boise State.
Yeah, I don't know enough. I've only watched spring practice, so I'm not about to act like he's a surefire because I don't know that. But he looked like a quarterback, which kind of tells you where things have been.
Right.
And the one thing about Bobby is Bobby can maximize what he has. It doesn't mean that we all of a sudden have a roster full of first, second, and third round picks and are top of the heap in talent in the SEC. We're not.
No, but he, like you said, can maximize. He did it when he came in our house and we played. Was it Missouri State? He was head coach of, and I mean they really gave us a run for our money down to the last 4 minutes maybe of the game.
Yeah,
literally they was having a show over there, and
so I'll break it down a couple ways. I think with Bobby as an OC and not completely controlling the roster, there is an opportunity for us to be more balanced, not just on offense, but as a team where we're playing complementary football, where your defense has a good, your defense is good in this particular way, but we're having quick 3 and outs and quick drives or short drives, and because of a lack of depth on defense, you get to a point where they either have too many snaps or are out there too soon after getting off the field, and so therefore they look worse than they really are because we don't have the depth. It's not that our starters aren't good, it's that we don't have enough behind them to be playing them 70, 80 snaps.
Yeah.
And so, I always used to get on to Bobby in the old days because we got 80 scholarship players and 11 of them were receivers. And you're like, we got 21 other positions. I know you're the head coach and nobody can veto you, but do we need 11 receivers and 4 tight ends of the 80? I don't know. I don't know. The answer is no, we don't. But
speaking of receivers, who's behind the receiver that transferred from baseball to Arkansas? Like, you think that was a Bobby decision?
No, about
And that's real, right? Or
yeah, no, it's real. I don't like talking about it because I'll just leave it at this because I don't want to talk about anybody specifically.
Right, I was just curious on
But
what drove it.
no. I'll answer. It says a lot, and I said this in our group. It says a lot about our off season, just from an excitement perspective, when the most coverage we've gotten
It's from that
is from a 26 or 28,
28, I think.
old as hell, walk on, joining your team.
Yep.
And I don't care if he was a Hall of Famer in baseball. It's just a little embarrassing.
That was our big. That is and was our biggest coverage for the all season.
Yeah,
So far.
there was more
Up to
coverage
date.
in those first 5 minutes of that becoming official than it was before and after our spring game.
Yes, and to this day.
And so, in the SEC, if I got to go into an off season being like, well, I'm excited about I was about to say a grad student. I don't even know if he's that, but I'm excited about this former baseball player who's older, maybe getting some snaps that's not my primary concern.
Right.
So I'll leave that there.
Leave it there.
But I hope to see us have some success, be balanced, not hang our defense out to dry.
Right. I like the post-out offense for sure.
Yeah, and just get in a stable situation where you're not gonna need to either just be in a situation where the defense fears you a little bit.
Right.
And the thing about Bobby is they know if he has a quarterback, he can be serviceable.
Yes.
On the offensive side of the ball, and I got to prepare for what he might do.
Well, yeah, correct.
And we haven't had that fear of the call since he left.
True.
So that's what I'm most excited about, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, true. I mean, and that's the thing, and we may be a little biased because we lived those days versus people that came after or before.
What's biased about
But I mean,
10 and 11 wins, top 5 finishes, and Sugar Bowl?
Sugar Bowl. It's
not biased.
Thing, though, if we can just get that, or you know what I'm saying?
On. Please.
If we can, what would be okay for you with the U of A, everything kind of, rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
Besides the football, for the most part, I mean, you got gymnastics that's been rolling. You got you got women's sports, and male sports. You know what I'm saying? So, what would be okay for you with the football program? I guess a record or a certain bowl.
Bowls don't matter to me anymore.
Okay.
I mean, I want us to win at least 6 games, but I'm not under any illusions that. Man, if you're not playing at the last week of December through the beginning of January, nobody cares.
Yeah.
What I would say is, like, at this point, a Houston Nut type level of success is fine. I mean, I just think it is what it is, and anywhere between 6 and 9 wins is, I think, where we're at. Like, when you're adding Texas and Oklahoma in the mix,
which is our Touch of States tour. Now
you're not. it's not like you added two teams that are going to be beneath you, which then pushes you further up.
No.
And so
they coming in with a bang, honestly.
yeah. So that's just kind of how if I'm being 100% honest.
Okay.
What about you before we go to playoff?
6 to 8.
Don't lie.
I'd rather take 8 than the 6.
Of course, but like,
But
6 isn't okay with you. I know you will.
No,
It's
I
not.
want 8.
Okay.
Give me 8 or more, preferably. But 6 to 8, at least we can be deciding if we want to take a trip to go see them play.
Oh no! If you ain't winning 9-10 games, I'm not spending money on going to see.
If it's, what's the one in Memphis, Liberty Bowl?
I'm not
A
going.
little Memphis drive or something,
Memphis is not a vacation.
or whatever the case is, But
No offense.
give me, I need 8.
Well, because
What else
but
going on?
what I'm saying is this: we're lucky in baseball that we've been good enough to where we're largely hosting regionals.
Yes.
But I've been to Omaha. It ain't that expensive.
No.
Compared to other things. Certainly not as expensive as going to a bowl. And it's the time of your life.
Yep.
In basketball, over the last 5 years, if we were in the tournament, I was there.
Yeah.
I've only missed one thing, and it was because I couldn't make
You
it.
went to the what's called it too. The,
Maui Invitational.
Maui, yes.
Thank God I didn't go to Bahamas this year. God.
You went to Maui. I was like, man.
Yeah, and those things are
you sent me
the
that
cost
video,
of.
and that was like,
Yeah, man, those are
it was nice.
that is about as much as a bowl.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah.
And so what I think a lot of people are I don't want to say wising up to, but it's like I think it's not just donors. It's fans who are saying, what am I going to get return on?
Yeah.
Should I, we're talking about season tickets, but even outside of season tickets. If I got 3-4 kids, would I rather take them to Dallas in September to potentially lose to A&M for the 10th time or whatever it is in a row?
In Jerry's world.
Or would I rather take them to Las Vegas on a direct flight to the Sweet 16?
I'm gonna take my 3 to Las Vegas. Oh, my look, they bad. They don't need it. They buds don't need to be in Vegas.
But yeah, like for instance,
Las
this year,
Vegas,
if we did what we were supposed to do, we could have played in Memphis,
Okay.
Dallas,
That was
then Phoenix.
Phoenix would have even better.
You could have potentially taken your kids to 2 of the 3 sites
Mm-hmm.
for the cost of
Trying to take
going to the Liberty Bowl.
or Liberty, yeah. True.
These are real choices.
100%. Which is weird. I mean, Elliot,
You could drive to Omaha, stay at the Marriott that's 2 blocks away from TD Ameritrade Field
yeah.
for half of what it would cost you to go to the Liberty Bowl. And because you live in Fort Smith, you could go to the regionals, super regionals, and Omaha for about or just a little bit more than the price of going to the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So
Very much sense. And that's the way I think when you do have kids, you think that way, especially if you taking them. So I get it 100%, yeah. I like that. That makes sense though.
we'll talk about the playoffs later.
That makes sense.
But that's just how I look at it.
Yeah.
So
No, I mean, it makes sense. And like you said, these donors is realizing that too. And these season ticket holders. If I had an option, if I was a season ticket holder, especially a big season ticket holder, I would take the 2.
let me ask you this. Cal was at the Dallas, before we move on to voting. Coach Cal and Kenny Payne and his body man was his right hand man and the chicken man, John Tyson, were in Dallas for the OKC Mavs game 5.
Okay.
Cal's there to see, obviously, P.J. Washington, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Who else am I missing? I know there was 3. Who's the third? Either way, 3 of his Kentucky guys. How does it feel knowing the guys like John Tyson and Cal? They're also there to see Big Dan Gafford.
Yep.
Shout out to El Dorado.
Yep.
But 2 Fort Smith guys.
Shout out to Fort Smith.
Jay Will and Isaiah Joe, who, shout out to Isaiah. I love you, brother. I remember when you and your brother were born. Your mom and your dad are fantastic, and I am truly happy seeing you grow in the game since you were a little shit. Like, Isaiah, I love you, man. And so I love to see you have success. But how does that... Because that's what we're going to do. Like, it's folks, we're seeing Dan and Jay Will going at each other, and it's dawning on people that, like, holy shit, like, Arkansas is going to be, Arkansas guy. Oh, 2 guys from Arkansas. Yep. Arkansas this, Arkansas that.
Yep.
They're playing and starting in the playoffs.
Yep.
Real important pieces.
That's from Arkansas, El Dorado,
South Central and the River Valley.
And then boom.
So I look forward to that.
Yeah, it's the beauty and excitement of it. So I mean, I get it, 100%. Shout out to Arkansas just in general for that, and watch more.
Well, we love our state.
Right.
We've never been embarrassed by it.
No, and watch more of that come as we get those.
We deserve it.
Yeah, as we get those in-state talent that we know we got, that we just had some come from. Watch more of that.
Man, I'm excited about 2025 and 2026, guys.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's gonna be fun.
Y'all heard it here. When we come back, 2025, 2026. You heard it first here. So be ready. He telling y'all. So whatever y'all gotta do. If you gotta get your tickets or whatever, get ready.
Yeah. Come on. There's a couple future legacies, or there's one future legacy. Come through IT.
Come on. Y'all heard it.
I've been looking. I know. Shout out to Sean Andrews and his son, who's fantastic.
You heard it here.
But yeah, look forward to it.
Oh man, it's gonna be nice. Yeah.
It matters. It matters when they're from Arkansas. He has been at Little Rock Christian.
How big is he?
He's tall. He's not big like Sean.
Mm-hmm.
But rangy, athletic. Yeah. I mean, Sean Andrews was an athlete among athletes.
Right, he was just big, but yeah.
Well, he wasn't like.
He probably got that later.
Sean is from Camden. We were just talking about Dan being from El Dorado, Camden, El Dorado, right there.
Yep.
Right. Kiera being from El Dorado, and Kaylin, the other side of Kaylin's family being from that area. But I remember him playing high school basketball at Monticello.
Right.
You're like, what? Like feet, like he had footwork. He was light on his feet. He was what I call smiley strong. Like he out here stronger than everybody with a smile.
With a smile, just happy.
Sean is always smiling, and so he just liked physicality, and so there was nobody that ever saw him from junior high until he came to the U of A that was surprised in any way that he was one of the great. He was the greatest offensive lineman of my lifetime, particularly within the state of Arkansas, at the University of Arkansas, but one of the greatest offensive linemen in the history of college football, and I think made a Pro Bowl in the NFL. Had some things that happened within his life, but Jason Peters, an
Yep.
East Arkansas, or excuse me, an East Texas guy.
Yep.
He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he was the second best lineman on that team. And though he had a better NFL career than Shawn Andrews, nobody would say that Jason Peters was a better offensive lineman than Shawn Andrews. They were two guys that were fantastic. And I think we ran the ball something like between 60 and 70% of the time to the right behind those guys.
And just going.
It's like, it's coming and there's nothing you can do about it.
Nope.
Good luck.
Just like the 49ers running behind Trent Williams. You know it's coming. What are you going to do?
We're going to do this. And I'm just letting you know, Mike Markinson got dudes. And so it's like, hey, 68% of the time we're going to run this way. Stop it. And you couldn't.
Yep.
So, anyway, we were supposed to stop the sports segment, but
On to
get excited.
Yeah, it is.
So, I know you wanted to talk about voting and the importance of voting, and also, like, what do you think happens if Trump gets convicted?
Yeah, I was just curious. Like, I read into it, and I probably couldn't find out, but I'm just curious if because they wanted the trial delayed, they did get delayed, they're going through the trial currently, and so if he get convicted, I seen somebody say there's something in there that says he could run the United States from prison. I don't know how, but there's nothing in, I guess, the bylaws to say he can't just stop running if he gets voted, even if he's in prison.
So, that is true. There's nothing that says that the president can be president from prison. But there's nothing that stops a convict from being president.
Right.
There's nothing that stops that. What you might be referring to is there are cases to come with charges centered around insurrection. And in that instance, the legal question would be, if convicted of insurrection or insurrection-related charges like conspiracy to commit insurrection or things like that, sedition, is he now then disqualified from running? Because post-Civil War, amendment was passed that prevented those who had who fought on the side of the Confederates to be able to hold office without the consent of Congress.
Okay.
And so how that would work would be there are specific charges that if he was convicted of, then the Congress would have to say he could run again. It would automatically disqualify him, but the Congress could say, well, we've removed this, and so therefore you can run. And so one of the questions has been not really this case that's going on with Stormy Daniels in New York at this very moment.
Right.
It's more around the January 6th trial and whether if he was convicted of those things like insurrection and conspiracy or sedition and things like that, does that then invoke that amendment, and then does the Congress have to give him the permission to run, which would it would be unprecedented.
Right.
But that trial has not started yet.
Correct.
That would cause that to be a question.
That won't start till
I don't know when it'll start, but the chances that we have that resolution prior to November is not high. But
so then you got what, 3 going on? So you got the New York Stormy Daniels.
Yeah.
You got the Atlanta.
Yep.
Georgia.
The Georgia case, yep.
And then this one, that
DC,
don't have.
January 6th case, and then the stolen documents case in Florida.
So 4.
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we made.
So the Stormy Daniel one, I don't know that I just hate that it's the first one, but it's around, did he pay Stormy, or when he paid Stormy Daniels and entered into an NDA,
Okay.
did he do so in an effort to shield the damage to his campaign when he was running the first time? And if he did, for that reason, was it a campaign contribution because it was in protection of his candidacy? And if it was, he likely violated campaign finance law and ultimately was dishonest in reporting the payments from that point forward. So did he use nefarious means to hide the fact that he was paying her off and entering into an NDA in order to benefit his campaign? And if he was, he did not properly report it and didn't properly compensate for it.
Okay.
So that's what that is. It's not about whether you had an affair. It's not about a porn star. It's not about that. It's about whether in the United States of America you can, what they call a capture kill story. Basically, someone's shopping a story. You find out they're shopping. You buy the rights to that story so that it doesn't come out. And then if you do that to help your campaign, should that be considered a campaign contribution?
Gotcha.
That's what it's really about.
Okay.
They want to make you think it's about porn stars and make it about NDAs and make it about Stormy Daniels. It's not about that. It's about whether the American people should know information that could change their mind about who they vote for. And if you decide to kill that story, which is allowed, should the payment to kill that story be disclosed when you're filing your campaign finance documents?
Okay.
That's what that's actually
about. That's what it's actually about. Okay.
Yes.
To kill the story to persuade to keep your votes going or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And so it'll be up to the jury.
Right.
It's a mixed bag for me.
It's just crazy, like you said, it's the first one.
Yeah.
So it's gonna get the most probably attention due to it being the first one when there's seriously more serious charges or cases that is not up yet. It's just the first one that's been seen.
Right. For me, the most important ones are the ones to come.
Correct.
Did you pressure Georgia, the state officials, to find votes and overturn the votes in a recount? I've listened to the audio. He literally said the exact amount of votes he needs to have one more.
Then he tried to get that tossed out due to the what was it, the DA? What's her name?
Fonnie Willis.
Due to her stuff or whatever, and she ain't backing down. You know, and so
it's that one. Then January 6th, did he play a part in inciting the insurrection, organizing it, all those things?
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
Yeah.
And then the last would be the documents case where he took all the documents. They asked him to return them. He returned some of them, kept the others, and was not willing to give them back and not storing them in a place that was safe, and ultimately was told that he couldn't have them.
Correct.
And that's another case. That is the most important to me.
Okay.
Second would be January 6th.
Okay.
Next would be Georgia. And then what we have right now.
Going on now. Okay.
Those three are highly important to the state of our democracy. You should not be, while as a sitting president, reaching out to state officials saying, find me votes. That's insane.
Can't do it.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Organizing, either directly or indirectly, an insurrection to stop the official certification of the vote for president from the many states.
Yeah.
That's, come on, y'all. Like, we can't be in a situation where someone is trying to incite that type of thing. But we'll see if it's illegal by jury of peers. And then as it relates to state secrets, whether that's nuclear secrets, weapons,
You can't.
capabilities of satellites, sensors underneath the sea, whether we have assets in certain countries that are giving us certain information, whether we know this about the French president, and do we know this about, like, it all goes to trust amongst allies. And if we can't trust that a former president and a future nominee will keep secret what is clearly secret, then it impacts whether people are willing to share information with us or whether they can trust us.
Right.
Like I said last episode, this stuff isn't a game.
No.
And like, I think too often we've just gotten too far away from understanding what certain things in our country are for. We've used the military to try to have political resolutions like spreading democracy and all of this. The reality is your military is there to deter or enforce.
Correct.
And your State Department is there to foster relationships, understand points of contention, negotiate, be diplomatic, but also help effectuate what you're trying to enforce or deter. And so when you talk about trust, this stuff matters. It's the currency of the realm.
Mm-hmm.
Being trustworthy, being measured, being someone that isn't, if I go to bat with you, you're not going to be so impulsive that you're going to drag me into some stuff that I didn't sign up for. We did that with Iraq. We had allies that said, it's you, you've been good to us,
Mm-hmm.
we're with you. Well, when you do that, you need to be furthering a righteous purpose. Because there are going to be points in time, like with Ukraine and other things, where you need to have a righteous purpose and you need people to believe you and follow you. And when you waste it, it's harder to convince people to be with you. And so I think that's why it's a little tough right now to get people on board with the things in Ukraine, even though we've talked about the jobs it's creating, the spending, the expansion of capacity, the modernization of our military, all of these different things are happening. It's hard to sell to the American public because in the past, you said, this has to be done, this has to be done, this has to be done, and we were with you. And it didn't really have to be.
Correct.
Now we're in a situation where this stuff really has to be done. We talked about it, inflation, all these different things, and the American public is rightly harder to get to go along because of how we've squandered things in the past.
Right.
So I bring that to Trump. When you are taking documents, when you're taking intelligence, when you're refusing to give it back, when you're doing all these things, it's eroding trust amongst the populace who already don't, we're split on him, but amongst our allies. And it makes it very, very, very hard. Very hard.
Yep.
And so we need to show that even if you're a former president, when you're doing something that you're not supposed to do, and you know you're not supposed to do it, and we give you the opportunity to rectify it so we don't have to go to these links, and you say, fuck it.
You still do it.
We got to not just show our people, we got to show our allies that nobody is above this.
Yeah. True.
No one.
Especially the allies.
Absolutely. Because we need our allies.
Yeah.
We need them. It's okay. It's like we talk about friendship. We talk about earlier, we were talking about how the things that were absent in your life and the things that were absent in my life and the things that were present in your life and the things that were present in my life can help us both get to a place without conflict.
Correct.
To a better mutual place for both of us.
Yep.
Even as we live our different lives and have our different things that are important to us, we're important to each other. Mm-hmm. We learn from each other. We share knowledge. Mm-hmm. And we ultimately benefit. And we can retain our own families and our own direction and our own choices. Yep. That's what it's like. It's the deepest form of friendship.
Yep.
And so if you tell me something and you find out somebody's got the text messages and screenshots and ain't willing to give them back, you're like, why would I share anything with you?
Right.
I know, like, it ain't you, but it kind of is.
It is, yeah.
Like, dang, you got my information hanging out here that I share with you, and you're like, anybody can have, and, you know, who's to say you won't try and sell it or leverage it or whatever? Yeah. It's like, why would I continue to give you information that could come back on me if this is how y'all conduct yourselves?
This is how y'all doing business. Nobody's holding you accountable.
Yeah.
Nobody's putting the foot down. So why is it important for people to vote then? With all this that's going on, either you can put it in, I guess, the hand of the law and the jury, or as American people, you can put it in your own hands if you do your proper
what
research.
I tend to, and I had to remind my dad even of this, the man has never won the popular vote. He lost by 2 million and almost 4 million votes in his elections. Now, we don't choose our president by popular vote.
Nope.
But we can't ever lose sight of the fact that there are more people that wish they didn't have him as a leader than do. Even if he wins, we can't lose sight of the fact that, like, we can't buy into this belief that more people want Trump than want the alternative.
Right.
It ain't been that case since he went on the scene. It's important to vote, and particularly in certain states more than others.
Okay.
Because it's not about how you feel about an individual. That individual only represents a direction that the country could go and take. And with voting, man, like, look at what taken for granted the election he did win, and look at the makeup of the Supreme Court. Look at the choices that they've made.
Yep.
Look at how they've affected people's daily lives. Look at what they've called into question. Look at how the House is conducting themselves.
Yes.
Ukraine is in this situation only because we waited 4.5 months to provide them something we knew they needed.
Because they wouldn't get it approved through the House.
Through the House. Ran by first McCarthy, but largely this has been an issue since Johnson has been in the speakership. And the reason why that happened was because of fealty, being sycophantic, kissing the ring of Donald Trump. So there's nothing to say, and in fact, most people believe the Democrats will win the House. It'll be tough to maintain the Senate, but it's possible. And so what happens if Donald Trump wins the presidency, but has no problem refusing to do anything with Congress that might be run by Democrats?
The House.
Or the Senate.
Or the Senate.
Is that what we want? Do you want everything to be a crisis?
Which it'll become. Only way it won't be a crisis if it was the House and the Senate ran by, if Trump became president of the Republic. Which happened in the first 2 years of his presidency. And this is what I want everybody,
we can end on this. This is what I want everybody to understand.
Yes, please explain.
Because there's nothing wrong with conservatism. There's nothing wrong with classic republicanism. There's nothing wrong with thinking differently to Democrats and thinking that Democrats or progressives have went too far. That is what our country's about, is us disagreeing and then agreeing. Donald Trump he had the House, the Senate, and the presidency through his first 2 years as president. All of these things that he's telling you he's going to do, he could have did. Sure as hell got a tax cut through within the first year. Sure as hell got a whole bunch of stuff through. He controlled the House, the Senate, or the Republicans controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency, if I'm not mistaken, which I don't think I am. So all these things that he said he could do or would do that he didn't do, why would you believe him again?
When he had the power to
When
do it.
they had the complete power, and what they chose to do was pass a multi-trillion-dollar tax cut, but then tell you they couldn't tell you conservatives and Republicans that they couldn't pass things that they had the House, the Senate, and the presidency to pass. And you're going to take hook, line, and sinker that in a divided government in which he is almost certainly, if he wins, not going to have the House and the Senate, and may not have the House or the Senate. But if you put him back, he's going to do these things that he couldn't do when he had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Please. Please.
That's why I bring these questions.
I mean,
Look, people, that's why
I'm not trying to be condescending, but it's just like, take a deep breath and be like, okay, if someone couldn't do something in ideal circumstances, why would they be able to do it with a divided government?
Which would be more challenging. That's why you're right. I mean, that's why I asked.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I challenge people to say. It's not just listen to what people are saying today, particularly when someone has a record. And this is rare. Donald Trump is trying to be Grover Cleveland. He's trying to be someone who won, lost, and then won again. It's only happened once. That's why we have one less president than the number says. Because Grover was, I forget what number. He was this number, there was a number, then he was the next. So when we say the 46th president, there's only been 45.
Okay, yep.
So always subtract one. This is what he's trying to do. So you got to look at what he did do. What did he do when he had both houses of Congress? And then especially look at that if you're going to dismiss his latter 18 months because of COVID. Well, it was COVID. Well, okay. COVID happens. Things happen.
Right.
We're a country that's been around a long time and endured a lot of things.
Yep.
We've endured civil wars. We've endured Jim Crow. We've endured Cold War. We've endured civil rights movement. We've endured Great Depressions, Great Recessions, crashes.
Yes.
No president gets to say, well, for half of my time, you can't grade it.
Because it's COVID.
No, that's not how this works.
Yeah. Still what you did.
Yeah, that's like Obama. Well, when I came in, the stock market crashed. Nobody cares. You're the president. Fix it.
It did. It did, though. But you can't use it as nobody.
You can't use it as excuse. And that's
right.
what they're trying to set up right now. There's been investments that have been made under Biden that they want a president to be around to see the benefits of, even though they didn't hold the presidency when it was done.
When it's done for the future.
That is what typically happens.
It's like you playing.
Democrats do a hard thing that's more long range in view, and Republicans want to time it out so that when they're in the office, when the benefits materialize, and then you're able to say, well, hey, this is what happened. Trump did it.
Okay.
Trump did it. I mean, all of the things that were done for 8 years under Obama that took time to realize.
Yeah.
He's acting like he did this stuff in the first 6 months. And it's like, you're riding the wave.
Yeah.
there's a lagging effect to the presidency. Very few things the president does is feel
right
immediate.
now. That's why I think people got a hard understanding of it. And I'll be trying to explain to people when I do talk about whatever I do know, but
it's like inflation. It's like inflation.
Right.
During COVID, there's $2-3 trillion given out in order to stabilize this weird situation, which led to more money in people's pockets than there was supply for goods and things.
Right then. That was the right now.
And so you get all of this money that's infused into the economy, which is going to drive inflation because you got more demand than you got supply. And so PPP, the initial stimulus, child tax credits, all of this stuff that happened under Trump, and it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It was bipartisan. So it wasn't just Trump, it wasn't just Republicans, it was everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
But it was worth putting too much money into the economy than the alternative of not doing enough.
Yeah.
And we see it as it relates to the economy across the world that we made the right decision. We juiced the economy more than it needed, but it was better to juice it than it was to underjuice it.
Yeah.
And so now people are blaming Biden for inflation when the reality was we made a macroeconomic decision that proved to be the right one. But now we want to blame the guy who's in office after the effects of this stuff as the reason why it came about.
They blaming Biden because they got to pay their bills now.
Yeah.
Your bills is due. Pay them.
Yeah. So yeah, there's no rent moratorium. All these people who felt like things were better under Trump. Yeah, when you didn't have to pay student loans.
Yep.
When you could get a PPP loan.
Yep.
And didn't have to operate a business.
Yep.
When you got extra money for child tax credits.
When you got
because people were at home. And, you know, all of these things, you're like, well, yeah, life felt better.
Of course, it's more in your pocket now, but now that you're feeling it, because all they got to be paid back some way, somehow, through companies or whatever. If you want to increase a company, they need to pay their employees $25 an hour, or what the company's supposed to do to make money. They're going to increase the cost that it is, the goods that they're making.
So yeah, it could feel better, but it doesn't change the fact that how you feel today is driven by how, if you feel bad about today, a large part of that is driven economically by how good you felt in the past. And there's no easy way to explain this. There's no way to explain it without seeming like you're making excuses.
Right.
But it's the truth. And that's what we do here.
Yeah. I mean,
speak the truth.
Speak the truth and break it down for go a little deeper than surface level that we see by flipping on the TV and like, oh, this is going on and Trump's doing this, or it goes deeper than that. And it's like if you have kids or family or whatever the case, or an investment. When you have an investment or whatever you're invested in, you're planning for the future, an investment from 5 years from now. If you make an investment on whatever you're doing, say if it's your money in your pocket, you make an investment. You're not making an investment to just gain your funds right now. It's for the long term, potentially, for when you set up afterlife or retirement or whatever the case is. And that's just what it is that people don't see. It's more so they see it now instead of down the line.
Yep.
You got to start looking down the line and do your research. Just do your research and the know.
What do we say? I got a lot of texts about talk to things that talk back. Quit going out in the ether and
quit going down those rabbit holes of the TikToks and stuff, or where they set up the algorithm.
Get off of TikTok, by the way. You can enjoy it for cat videos and dancing, but
don't go down the algorithm thinking that's where you're gonna get your knowledge.
Know that they're and they meaning the Chinese, but just know that American social media companies are doing the same thing. If you finally realize that TikTok isn't good for you, apply that same thinking to X and Facebook and Instagram, because they're the same thing. It's just you shouldn't feel better about being manipulated by an American than you are Chinese. You should not want to be manipulated. Period. It's not better to be manipulated by someone who shares your nationality. It's actually more pathetic. So TikTok's first, but let's move through all these other ones as well.
So I'm trying to read more people. I'm trying to read.
And talk to your
Conversation.
friends.
What did they say? What's that? Conversation rule the nation. Who said that?
I don't know, but we can end on that one. I hope y'all enjoyed. Conversation rules the nation, clearly.
Yes, sir.
But keep joining us. Keep joining us. We'll keep having these conversations. And
Hey, give us feedback. Anything you want to see or
Yeah.
something, give us some feedback. We all, hey, we listening.
you got anything else?
No, it's just fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Sit here, conversation.
This is what we do. There's more to come, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, sir.